Hello, I'm back.
We're back.
We're back.
So
we were having snacks. We just got a phone call, and it was from somebody from church or one of our friends called to see how we were and to thank us for calling them.
Right.
See, it works. We're taking care of each other. Thank you very much for that phone call, and thanks for all you guys taking care of each other. This has been like almost a half an hour of review, so
Wow.
we're just
You
going
guys
to wrap it up for in just a few more minutes.
Okay.
Then we'll be done with our review, and then we'll sign off, and we'll sign off for another one for where we're going to talk about for this week. And
Okay.
maybe we'll post a few more during the week, and you guys can watch them when you want to, and that would be a great way to do it.
Sure.
Okay, so
Yep.
right now we were talking about eating and how Jesus ate with
Right.
a whole bunch of people, and we ate lunch with different people, and then Jesus he talks in these like things called parables.
Yep.
They're like, you know what a parable is? What
It's
do you
like
think?
a
What do you
story.
wanna-
It's
yeah,
a
like
story but a story that has a meaning behind it.
Yeah.
So we might think of like Aesop's fables.
A fable and a parable.
or-
Yeah,
right.
that's a good way
Yeah.
to think of it. I love that. So it has like an underlying like message kind of thing
Right.
that might not be on the surface, right? So
Right.
he talks about, and you know what another word is? This is one of those English major words. Karen probably knows what an analogy is. That right? Or
Allegory.
An allegory.
Yes.
Or a metaphor, right? Something means something
Yeah,
else. This
yeah.
is like this.
Mm-hmm.
So
Right.
those are a lot of the ways that Jesus
Right.
tells the story. He
Yes.
says, this is like this.
So it doesn't mean it's exactly that,
No.
but it means
It's
you
like
get the
this.
idea.
It's like this. Exactly.
Right.
So Jesus said that he talks about putting wine into
Okay.
wineskins. He says you don't put new wine, which is these new people that are coming into the kingdom of God and that he's eating with, the people that he's welcoming in. He's welcoming everybody in, anybody and everybody. He wants everybody to come in. He says you can't put new wine into old wineskins. Yet, look, see, my son Noah, while I was taking a drink of water, he hit my arm and he spilled water on me. So this is my water that Noah spilled on me. Karen noticed it, and I know you guys noticed it too. But I wasn't mad at him. I immediately forgave him. But that's beside the point. Okay, so we're talking about wine and wineskins, and you don't put new wine into old wineskins. You got to picture a wineskin. You know what they use for wineskins, believe it or not?
Wasn't it like an animal's stomach or
The stomach or the bladder of a different animal, like a goat or something like that. And so when wine is made, it ferments and it actually makes bubbles like gas. It makes gas, and so it expands. But once you stretch something out, like if you stretch out
a rubber band.
A rubber band, if you stretch it too far, and then it'll snap, right? So when you have a wineskin, it's already been stretched out and it's old. It's not as pliable. It's not as soft and things like that. So when you have new wine that needs to ferment and it needs to make the gas and stuff like that, if you put it in an old wineskin, what do you think would happen?
It would just burst.
It would
make a
big
mess.
So you wouldn't have
Right.
a wineskin, and you wouldn't have any wine either.
Because
It
it would
would
be all
ruin
right.
both of them, right? So sometimes you can't put new wine into old wineskins. So sometimes we need to be totally changed, and we need to be ready for that change that's going to happen when we accept the new things in our lives, because they're going to stretch us. I love that analogy. Don't you love that? That idea that sometimes we're going to get stretched when we learn something new. We're going to get stretched, and we have to be ready to get stretched. Sometimes it can be a little painful getting stretched, right? Yeah. Sometimes, but then it feels good after you stretch out and you get ready for the next thing, and you're going to try something new. So that was a great thing. Oh, and then we had this other story that we talked about with the young people. We talked about the Sabbath, and we talked about what a Sabbath was. And did you know that Sabbath day, Saturday was actually the Sabbath for the Jewish people?
Yes.
And now we, in a Christian church, we use Sunday.
Most of us.
Most people,
There are a few.
some people. You're right.
Seventh Day Adventists still use Saturday as their
They
Sabbath.
still use Saturday as the Sabbath
But
day.
most Christians use Sunday.
And the our Jewish brothers and sisters, they celebrate on the Sabbath day, on
Sabbath.
Saturday.
Right.
They celebrate a Sabbath. But that's great about what day you do it. But what's also important is what you do.
Right.
And what we normally do, and this morning we did it by going on the computer and watching service happen, we gather together. We gather together and we have worship. And we also take time away from the other activities that we're
Right.
doing. And we sort of like take a step back. And
Mhm.
isn't that what we're doing right now, too? You were just saying
It's a
to
big
our
step.
friend that we're
A big
taking a
step
big
back.
step back from everything. It's a good time to look and see what's going on in our lives, right? So each week we have that opportunity to think, okay, what did I do last week? What am I going to do next week? And what am I doing right now to take care of myself and to be the best I can be? And it goes back to creation, and God rested on that seventh
Yep.
day and took a rest.
Exactly.
So sometimes we need to take a rest. But if you have homework to do and you got school on Monday, that doesn't mean you don't do your homework on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, right? Or if you have some commitment you've made, that you still got to go do it. I'm talking to you. I know you were thinking about telling your parents, I can't do anything, it's Sunday. But hey, it's a good day to get things done sometimes too, especially the connections that you make with other
Right.
people
Right.
and with God. So that's the whole thing. It's about relationship.
Right.
You see, it's about taking some time to have a relationship with God, to have a relationship with each other. And I'm so glad that I was able to do this today with you. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
Thank you.
One more story,
Okay.
because this is the last story, and then we're all caught up, okay?
Okay.
We talked about empathy
Okay. Yep.
and how sympathy is when you're sympathetic, I feel for you. But empathy is when you're feeling with.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you think this is something that I deal with a lot in my work. So
Yeah.
sympathy, think of it as feeling sorry. So when you feel sorry for somebody,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, oh, you poor thing, pat on the head. Empathy is saying, yuck. Yeah, I know what that feels like. I've had that feeling.
I've
So
had
it's
that feeling,
it's
yeah,
more
that-
of feeling with and coming alongside.
Inside,
Whereas
yeah.
sympathy, think of sympathy as coming down from somebody up above.
Oh, that's so
Empathy
great.
is coming alongside.
That is so great.
So it's
I
feeling
love
with,
that.
not
And that's exactly why
Yeah.
we were talking about it,
Right.
is because Jesus came alongside of people.
right,
And he came out and he actually lived life with us.
right. He
And
didn't
he
just
didn't
look
just-
down. He
just
didn't just look
from
down and
heaven.
said, "Oh, you poor creatures who are so confused and so stupid and messing all this up."
And broken,
He
yeah.
said, "No, let's do this together, and through that, let's see if we can figure out a better way."
Walk together, right?
Right.
It's like this walk together. So that's what Jesus is asking.
Jesus,
To walk with me.
Don't get me off key.
So that's
Sorry.
what's going on, that empathy thing. Like, and we should be feeling that for each other. You know, Jesus definitely felt it for us, and the way that we learned about empathy a little bit was I brought gloves in, right, and then I brought safety glasses in. And I had the kids put gloves on, and I put safety glasses on, and I covered the safety glasses with wax paper. So
Okay.
you could sort of see shapes, and you could sort of
Right.
figure out what was
Right.
going on,
Right.
but you couldn't like see real well. And then I gave them a baggie full of change, and we
Gotcha.
pretended to be at a store.
Okay.
And so we were trying to have empathy for people who are older than us that might have trouble with their fingers,
Right.
or they might have trouble seeing and things like that. Oh, and I put earmuffs. We put earmuffs on their things.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't need any earmuffs because I can't hear as it is.
Nope.
But I felt like they could understand where I was coming from. They
Right.
might have empathy for me by putting the earmuffs on, and it was I really felt like it helped them understand what it was like, you
Yeah.
know, and so they could have empathy. They could
Right.
see themselves in that person's place and things like that.
And that's why it's different than sympathy, because
Right.
sympathy doesn't require any understanding.
Right.
It just sees that, oh, you're not as
Yeah.
good as me, and I feel sorry for
and
you.
Jesus said,
Empathy,
right,
you can understand.
Right. Jesus had empathy for this man who had a crippled hand.
Right.
And the way I hope the kids remember that is we taped up a couple of people's hands, and so we put tape on it, and so that's the way that you can remember about this man with the crippled hand. And Jesus healed him on the Sabbath. And you know what? Again, there was conflict.
Yep.
Some of the people did not like
Right.
that Jesus did that, so there's conflict in their story. There's a lot of conflict going on between the religious people and Jesus because of this new thing. There's a new thing going on, and there's going to be a new thing coming to you real soon, because we're going to stop this tape because this was our review, and we're going to do a new thing real soon. So thanks for being here, and tune in again for our next lesson.
Thanks for inviting me.
You bet.
Bye-bye.